find out. So this is taking a look at that QRS complex, and we're going to answer a couple questions. That would be, are these regular or irregular? And do all the QRS complexes actually look alike? So let's dive in. Don't forget, we're going to need our calipers. So we're not going to worry too much right now about what we would look for our P waves. But when we bring our calipers in, one of the things that we're taking a look at in this case is that if I look at EKG strip number 1, if I look at EKG 1, what I notice right away is that it is irregular because it looks like I am missing something in here, and it looks like I'm missing something in here. So those are things that I definitely need to make sure that I'm going to account for. So it is irregular, and I can tell that right off the bat just by taking a look at how this is occurring just off of the paper, right? So once in a while, we'll find EKGs that are kind of difficult to be able to tell, and we have to really measure out our QRS complexes. So we know that this is going to be, it is already irregular. So what we're looking at here is we're just going to help verify that, in fact, things are irregular. And here's where you see that there should be a QRS. There is not a QRS complex. And then when we come down here, you will notice that things here were okay, right? We're lining up, and there's another one that is missed. So this is irregular, but this is one that, because it's occurring every so many beats, you will notice that here's one beat, here's a second beat, here's a third, okay? Here's one, here's two, here's three. We missed one where there was supposed to be a fourth one. Now, this is occurring this is occurring regularly. This is occurring, and really if I had another EKG part here, you would actually see that there's a P wave and a QRS complex that sits out in this area. So this is something that is actually occurring, this irregularity. We know that it's irregular, but it is regularly irregular. And when we say that, it's just meaning that every fourth beat, we're seeing that there is some irregularity. It's occurring frequently, and you can put a pattern to it. There's a couple other rhythms that you can take a look at that we will find out later on, but this is one. This is one that is looking at, this is an irregular rhythm, but looking at the pattern, it is regularly irregular. We take a look at EKG number 2, we can see that this is irregular, and by the way, look at this QRS complex. If you look at this QRS complex, it does not look like this. It doesn't look like the others. So it's kind of going back to one of these things is not like the other. One of these things doesn't belong. Yeah, this is something that is a little goofy. Something is going on here, and we need to figure that out. So let's just go ahead and get rid of my little drawing here, my little circles. Okay. And let's bring in our calipers again, because we want to see whether or not this is something that is occurring frequently. Right, so we're going to line up. And we move this down. I'm going to mark here just that there was supposed to be a P wave there. I'm sorry, a QRS complex there. And we'll move this back down. And that falls right where it's supposed to. And so does that one. So where there is a normal P wave and QRS complex, it is regular. It just happens that where that oddball one is, this one right here, this one is where it is irregular. So we know that this is an irregular rhythm, and this is only occurring, this irregularity is only occurring every once in a while. So therefore, we now call this occasionally irregular. Right? Because it's only happening every once in a while. We take a look at our last ECG, and again, it's kind of like the first one. You can take a look at it. Actually, it's like the other two, and you can realize that it isn't going to make a whole lot of sense for me to realize that this is an irregular rhythm. So if I want to look for a pattern to it, calipers, which I'm going to show you right here, okay? Calipers are going to tell you that, right? You can see that there's really nothing that is lining up here, okay? And that's okay. This is telling us that this is irregular. There is no match whatsoever. Oh, there's a couple, right? That's about it. That's the only time that we saw anything that was regular. So let's try something here. Okay, this is going to be what I like to refer to as our poor man calipers. Now with our poor man calipers, what we're going to do is we're going to come in here and we're going to mark with our paper just a couple of rhythms, just a couple QRS complexes, and then we're going to move them down. And what you will notice is that when I move them down, they're not even lining up again, right? You can see that this is supposed to, these things, if they were regular, if they were regularly irregular, they should line up, right? Some form of that. But these things are not lining up at all. We don't see that there is any regularity to it. Even when we get to this one, maybe every once in a while, but it's not lining up with the other ones. So that's why we're now coming in here and we're going to definitely call that irregular. So I'm just showing you that with a regular piece of paper to help you realize that you don't always need the little pointy calipers. You can use a piece of paper. And sometimes I find that it works a lot better, particularly if you're looking for something that is irregular. Okay? Because this is still irregular, there is no pattern to it whatsoever. Therefore, this is said to be irregularly irregular. So now you can see that there are at least these terms that we were talking about earlier, that there is, if it's irregular, you have to answer to yourself, is it regularly irregular, occasionally irregular, or irregularly irregular? It's definitely going to give us an indication of some things that are ongoing with our QRS and our atrial beats, our P waves that we saw earlier. Okay, just trying to bring some of those in to help you correlate. Go back and take a look at what we talked about for the P waves. We showed you what the regular P waves looked like. QRS complexes should march out regular as well. Anytime they're irregular, P wave or QRS complexes, we need to identify whether or not things are regularly irregular, occasionally irregular, or irregularly irregular. We go through the same pattern for either it being a P wave or being a QRS complex. All right, let's take a look at some more stuff.